Experiencing loss is a natural part of the human condition. Whether it's the passing of a loved one, a heart-wrenching breakup, or losing touch with a dear friend, we all know what it's like to lose someone. And when that person is gone, leaving an empty void in our lives, grief, this deep, unrelenting sadness, consumes us. The reason I'm talking about this is because I finally watched Frieren, a wholesomely complex show that I've been putting off for no good reason, really. But hey, better late than never, am I right? Now, this isn't a review of the anime. I absolutely love Frieren. It's spectacular for so many different reasons, and I'm here to dive deeper into what makes the show so incredibly special. The careful, heartfelt way it explores the themes of loss and grief. My name is Andre, and let's talk about Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Before we get started, I just want to make it clear that this video is purely for entertainment purposes. Please don't take anything I say as professional advice, as I am just some random dude talking out of my ass on the internet. Oh, one last thing. Spoiler alert for Season 1, just to be safe. You've been warned. At first glance, Frieren looks like a familiar high fantasy anime, filled with Tolkien-esque D&D inspired tropes we've all seen before. A party of heroes go on a long, arduous adventure, traveling from town to town fighting monsters, getting eaten by mimics, and helping out villagers in exchange for some gold, or grimoires in this case. What makes Frieren so unique, however, is that it begins after the big bad evil guy, the Demon King, has already been defeated, hence the subheading of the show, Beyond Journey's End. We practically skip the entire story if this were any other fantasy epic, so it begs the question, what now? If the story is already over, what could this show possibly be about? To answer that question, we need to look closely at our titular main character, Frieren. Frieren is an elf, a magical race who are well known in pop culture for their pointed ears and, more importantly, their eternally long lifespans. In other words, 10 years for a human might feel like a transient moment for an elf, and Frieren's warped perception of time sets up the main conflict of the show, coming to terms with the fleetingness of human life. In the first episode, Frieren casually decides to venture out alone to collect new spells for the next 100 years. During this time, she lives in near solitude, only thinking of visiting Himmel because she needs something from him. By then, 50 years had already passed, and while she does reunite with the hero's party, seeing the Era meteor shower together one last time, Himmel dies of old age not long after. At first, Frieren appears emotionless, and random NPCs even call her out on it. But when Himmel is buried, that's when grief finally hits her. She comes to the realization that many of us know all too well. You never know what you have until it's gone. Grief doesn't strike her at the moment of Himmel's death, but instead when she realizes how much he truly meant to her, when it's already too late. Even though Himmel and Frieren shared the same precious 10 years together, their vastly different perception of time shaped how they viewed each other. Whereas Himmel felt a lifelong bond with Frieren, she took their relationship for granted. And not just that, she took for granted the life of someone that was near and dear to her heart. Frieren was never really about saving the world or defeating evil demons with magic. That's just icing on a cake. Instead, it's much deeper than that. At its core, Frieren is about grieving the loss of a loved one, and how that grief lingers as life goes on. While the loss of Himmel begins the story, grief is what sustains it, forcing Frieren to live the rest of her life knowing that he's gone forever. As a show, Frieren actually presents grief in a healthy and positive way. Yes, it's okay to be sad and take your time to mourn, but Frieren isn't stuck at home, rotting in bed, letting sorrow consume her. Instead, she channels her grief into a newfound sense of purpose, vowing to retrace the adventures of the hero's party in the hopes of better understanding humans and, in turn, understanding herself. She also keeps herself rather busy, indulging in her own eccentric hobbies, collecting strange spells, hoarding magical trinkets, and dungeon delving, to name a few.
服だけ溶かす薬。男ってのはね、こういうの渡しておけば喜ぶんだよって先生が言ってた。
Over the next few episodes, she visits Heiter and Eisen to pay her debts, having learned from her mistake of not visiting Himmel before it was too late. She even takes on Fern as an apprentice, and later, Stark joins her as a companion. By taking care of them, Frieren gives herself something new to strive towards. And I absolutely love how much attention to detail the show gives to Frieren, trying her best to get to know Fern and Stark, regardless of how socially awkward and emotionally dense she can be. For example, Episode 3 opens with a cute gift shopping scene, and despite being hopelessly clueless on what Fern would want, Frieren is putting in the effort to show that she cares about her. In other anime, this scene would definitely be considered filler, but in Frieren, this is the main plot, and it's a plot point that the show revisits again and again throughout the first season. Now, I remember seeing a cheesy Instagram quote that struck a chord with me while watching this episode, and it goes along the lines of, "To be loved is to be seen, to remember the little things."
今日の気分はメルクアプリンですよね。
今日の気分はメルクアプリンだろう。
なんでわかるの？
何年一緒に旅をしていると思っているんだ。なんとなくわかるさ。
In that very moment, Frieren remembered how it felt to be cherished by someone, just as Himmel once remembered those things about her. Frieren doesn't replace Himmel with new people, nor does she erase her memories of him just because they hurt. Instead, she goes on a literal trip down memory lane in order to understand the past by investing herself into new people, and in doing so, she recontextualizes that once insignificant 10-year journey as what may have been the most important years of her life. Now, you've probably heard of the adage, if you love someone, let them go. And while that message is all fine and dandy, I'd argue that Frieren teaches us the opposite. Don't let go of those you love. Let me explain. A recurring motif throughout the show is memory, specifically how memories can shape who we are. These memories are represented via flashbacks, past moments that mirror the present, acting as a bridge between then and now. As Frieren retraces the once-trodden path, she remembers all of the shenanigans of the hero's party. If you really think about it, Frieren is basically a boomer who's constantly reminiscing about the good old days. However, the key distinction here is that Frieren isn't stuck in the past. She isn't being delusional. She doesn't pretend Himmel's still alive. She doesn't use her memories of him to wallow in her own sadness. Instead, she lets Himmel live on through her memories. She chooses to remember him, to not let him be forgotten. Even now, his words and values continue to guide her, actively shaping who she is in the present moment. That's because she understands that time alone doesn't heal all wounds, and that real healing requires changing something about herself. Her habits, her mindset, her way of life. Eisen's final quest to Frieren, this journey to Aureole, the mythical resting place for the souls of the dead, gives Frieren direction not because she wants to bring Himmel back to life, but because she wants closure, to have one final conversation with him. And that's what I mean when I say that Frieren teaches us not to let go. It's telling us that we shouldn't forsake the past just because it's painful to remember. Instead, we should use our memories to inform the present, to help us move forward without repeating the same mistakes with our loved ones that made us regret so deeply in the first place.
あなたの中にも大切な思い出があるとすれば、死ぬのはもったいないと思います。
From a narrative standpoint, I also find it so interesting that Himmel is defined not just by how he appears in Frieren's memories, but by the legacy he leaves behind.
Legacy. What is a legacy?
Yes, he's the hero who defeated the Demon King, inspiring countless tales of his adventures for future generations. But believe it or not, that grand achievement isn't what makes Himmel him. To many, Frieren included, Himmel serves as an enduring symbol of chivalry. To live like Himmel is to protect the powerless, to help those in need, to show kindness to others, and to stand bravely against adversity. Throughout Frieren's travels with Fern and Stark, they visit towns and villages that still celebrate Himmel, remembering all the good deeds he's done for people all across the continent. In that sense, the legacy he left behind already outlived his life, evolving into an ideal, a moral compass that people continue to live by. And in doing so, transforms Himmel from a regular man into something much more than himself. In episode 12, Frieren explains that people romanticize the heroes of the past, inflating their deeds to seem larger than life, and Himmel's tale is no exception.
勇者の剣が抜けなかっただなんてかっこ悪いエピソードは英雄には不要でしょ。英雄というのはどうしても後世の連中が勝手に美化していく。
For the legend of Himmel the hero to be great, it only made sense for him to wield the hero's sword, but the truth shows something far more human. Himmel wasn't perfect. He carried around a fake sword and even made mistakes throughout his journey that caused unnecessary bloodshed. It's also a running gag throughout the show, but he's vain and egotistical, constantly wanting statues to be made in his dashing image. And that's the point. Despite his legacy, Himmel was also a real person, with his own faults and imperfections. Still, beneath his pride was a caring person, and he was always so sweet when it came to Frieren. Maybe it was just an excuse, but I love that he intentionally got statues made of him so that Frieren has something to remind him of. He knew that she would outlive her for centuries to come, and this was his way of commemorating those short 10 years they spent together. So that wherever she goes, she's reminded that she's not alone, and that he will always be there for her.
君が未来で一人ぼっちにならないようにするためかな。
何それ？
おとぎ話じゃない。僕たちは確かに実在したんだ。
While most people only know of Himmel's legacy, Frieren never let go of the man who once was, keeping these flawed yet endearing memories of Himmel close to her chest. After all, she's one of the few people left who truly knew who he was, and that in itself is special. To wrap things up, I want to talk about one of my favorite episodes from the show. In episode 16, Frieren visits a long-lived friend, Old Man Vol, a dwarf who protects a small village in memory of his deceased wife. One day, as Frieren and the old man talked about remembering their loved ones, he says this.
わしはもう思い出せない。顔も声も眼差しも。
And if I'm being completely honest, that moment broke me. I made this video because I relate to Frieren as a character on a deeply emotional level. I know what it's like to lose someone I cared so much about, and now I'm left with nothing but the memories we shared together, moments that I took for granted, and it's something that I regret to this day. As much as I want to rewind time to go back and set things right, that's just not how life works, and Frieren as a show understands that so well. Seeing Old Man Vol grow senile makes me so afraid that, with the passage of time, the memory of the people we once loved will slowly fade away. That we'll forget the way they smelled, forget the sound of their voice, forget all the little things that made them happy. And the truth is, nothing stands the test of time, and that in itself is horrifying. Existential crisis aside, watching Frieren during such an emotionally turbulent period in my life helped me understand that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying the people we loved forward, never letting go of the memories that shaped us before, and letting them guide us to who we become next. At the end of the day, we tell stories for that same reason, to better understand each other, to learn from one another, and to feel a little less alone in this increasingly stressful world we live in. And that's why I made this video. For those of you still watching, I may not know who you are or what kind of memories you're carrying with you, but I hope something here resonates the way Frieren resonated with me. I usually share bits and pieces about myself in every single video that I make, but this felt different because talking about Frieren meant sharing something that truly matters to me. And if this video made you feel something, even just a little, then it was worth making in the end. With season 2 right around the corner, I'm so excited to see what's up next for Frieren, and I'm for sure looking forward to making a review of the new season. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Frieren content in the near future. It probably won't be as serious and emotionally vulnerable as this one, but I still think it'd be worth your time, and I'd appreciate all the support I can get. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
ちゅ
何それ。
投げキッスだよ。坊やにはまだ早かったかな。
誰かこのお子様を連れて帰ってくれ。